All right, let's do this.
So first question, just an easy one. What do you remember about your time here at ETSU?
Well, my time here at ETSU was probably the best 5 years of my life. When you're an 18-year-old going away from your family, it is important for you to have a support group. And my support group when I was here was the football team and the coaching staff. I fell in love with Johnson City and the East Tennessee State University campus on my official visit, and knew it was a place that I wanted to spend my college years. There were some great times. Anytime you go away, there's learning experiences, and some of the friendships that were started here at East Tennessee State are some of the best that I have. Some of my closest friends are still the people that I met here attending ETSU.
Sort of a two-part question. What is, if you can narrow it down to a memory or two, what's one or two memories that stand out on the field and also off the field here at ETSU?
Oh, without a doubt, on the field was our victory against UT Chattanooga, 35-0. And at that point in time, they were ranked in the top 20. It was a big win for our program when we were here. It was probably the most exciting win in the 5 years that I spent. The place was packed, 12,500 plus for a heck of a football game against a very good UT Chattanooga Moccasin team.
Off the field, do you have any memories or places you like to go?
Oh gosh, there's so many things around this campus are so fun to experience. Tubing the river, the Nolichucky River was one of my favorite things. Going out to Boone Lake, fishing the small streams, fishing the South Holston and the Watauga River. I wasn't a kayaker. I became one after graduation, and I know that the rafting and the kayaking is just fantastic here in Upper East Tennessee. Walking the Appalachian Trail, just the outdoors things that you can experience here at ETSU are just unbelievable, phenomenal. And those are some of the memories that I remember. The fellowship that you have with not only teammates but other students are things that I'll always remember.
Let's talk about the playing days and specifically the Dome. What do you remember about playing in the mini Dome?
Oh, it was a great atmosphere. The Dome was a very intimate place to play. It was one of the few indoor facilities in the country at its time. I'm remembering that feel of coming out, running out on the field through the band. Those are things that you never forget. It was a tough place to play for teams to come in. It was different, the ball flight, catching the ball took some adjustment for receivers. So I thought that it gave us a little bit of a home field advantage.
Let's talk about, you just did the tour, you got to see some of the renovations in the Dome. What did you think about the new locker rooms and weight rooms?
Oh, very impressed with both state-of-the-art. The locker room is comparable to any in the country. That's NCAA or NFL. Was very impressed. The design and the setup, the flow for the players is fantastic, and I think it's very important that you have a very efficient, flowing locker room because the players are going to spend a lot of time in the locker room. The weight room, definitely state-of-the-art as well. The Olympic lifting stations are as good as any in the country. It's going to allow the players to train, get bigger and get stronger, and that's very important when you're putting together a football team. You want to have guys that are as strong as they can possibly be. Those two additions to the Dome, I'll put up against any in the country. That's Division I AA, Division I against any place in the country.
Bucks transitioning out of the Dome, looking to build a new stadium. What's that going to be like for ETSU to have a new stadium and then right there on campus?
Well, I think it's going to be one of the centerpieces of the campus, to have an on-campus playing site is very important for the students and for alumni, for the students, so that they'll be able to just walk to the game, have the tailgating experience that takes place on game day. And again, for the players, the atmosphere, I think, will be fantastic. ETSU has been without football for 12 years. We're very excited that it's coming back, and I think that once we get the stadium built, you're going to see some fantastic football. Coach Torbush and his staff have been working extremely hard to put together a team. They put 2 recruiting classes together. I think they've been strong recruiting classes with a lot of local talent. I think that's important for the program. And this new stadium is going to be fantastic, and it's going to be a great venue not only to watch football games but for other events as well.
Coach, you know better than anybody how to put together a championship roadmap to put together championship winning teams. What do you think about what you've seen so far of ETSU and the roadmap and the direction that they're going?
Well, it starts at the top with Dr. Nolan. Dr. Nolan has a vision of how he sees the athletic department and football being a very important part of it. And you manage from the top down, and it's his vision. And he's got a roadmap that I think has been executed extremely well up to this point. We're very excited about September 3rd, where we will have a Buccaneer football team take the field against Kennesaw State University and go out and compete. But I've been very impressed. Coach Torbush and his staff are working extremely hard, sometimes with limited resources, but they put their pads on, they put their coaching hats on, and they go to work. And when you do that, you've got a chance. And it's really about a culture, and I think that the culture that starts with Dr. Nolan and works down to the coaching staff is going to permeate out on the football field, and you're going to have a football team that you can be very proud of.
You mentioned resources. That's going to kind of lead into my next thing. Because we're not the 1As with unlimited resources, how important is it for former players and like yourself to kind of contribute and help? And what all can former players do to kind of help make this program successful? Well,
I think it's very important for the former players to get over the fact that football was dropped here at East Tennessee State. I think there was a lot of disappointed alumni when that happened, but now it's back, and it truly is back. There's been a lot of talk about what's going to happen. There's a lot of things that you can see taking place when you come to our campus. You mentioned the new locker room, the new weight room, and those are just starting points for us as a team and as a football program. And we need the support of the former football players to help in any way possible. Every little bit is going to count as we grow this program back to a national power. And that's the thing that I think that everybody wants to see, is they want to see a program that will be good on the field as well as off the field. And the former players have to embrace that, and we need to all support Dr. Nolan and his vision for bringing football back to East Tennessee State.
Kind of the same thing, and I don't know, it might be similar to what you just said, though, but I'm curious, would that be the same message you would have to regular alumni that maybe didn't play a sport, or just the community involved?
I think it's very important that the community gets involved. East Tennessee State has affected the growth of Johnson City and the Tri-Cities area, not just the 3 Tri-Cities, but all of the other surrounding communities here in East Tennessee. It's a regional university. Students not only come from East Tennessee, but from Western Carolina and Southwest Virginia, and probably from all 50 states in the Union. I think it's going to be very important for the alumni that not only live here in the immediate area, but from around the country, support our university. And athletics is very important, and at the head of athletics, I believe, is the football team. And we have a football team coming back. They're starting play in 2015, and it's going to be a new chapter in the history of ETSU football. And all of the former players and all the alumni that will have an opportunity to come back and watch football games here on campus. It'll be a unique experience that hasn't happened for over a decade now.
And ETSU has chosen Carl Torbush to be the man to lead the Bucks out on the field September 3rd. If you could, talk about him, you know him personally as kind of him as a man, and then talk about what you think about him and what he brings as a football coach.
Well, as a man, Coach Torbush has outstanding character. He's done this for a long time. He's influenced thousands of players that have come in contact with him. He's coached at every level, not only players, but he's come in contact with hundreds of coaches. And I think Coach Torbush has a very good understanding of the landscape of college football at all levels, and he knows what it takes to be successful. And he's put two very good recruiting classes together for us to restart and reboot the football program.
If you were able to sit in front of a recruit right now and pitch ETSU, what would you say to them and their family? Why come here? If they're looking at you and say, why should I choose ETSU, what would be your response?
Well, first, it's a great university. It's very diverse in terms of your options of what you want to do academically. Socially, it's a wonderful place to live. And if you're someone that enjoys outdoor activities, this is second to none in all of the, in all of the United States. I would also talk about the mentoring that you're going to receive, not only from the coaching staff, but from the faculty. This is a faculty that really assist their students, and I think it's very important. The educational landscape is changing. It's changing very quickly with technology, and ETSU is at the cutting edge of that technology in all their departments.
Looking at the athletes that are coming in, they're all good athletes coming in. They all dominated their high school and their districts and their region and all that. What can the athletes do to make themselves better, to go from a good athlete to a great athlete?
Well, the facilities here that are starting to be rebooted are going to help them be better football players. It starts in the weight room. We have a state-of-the-art weight room. It takes a lot of hard work. It's not just going into the weight room, it's going in and working in the weight room. The training facility is as good as any in the country. Coach Torbush and his coaching staff are very diverse. They have coaches that have been head coaches at the collegiate level and been very successful. They have players that have played at the NFL level and have been very successful, and they have coaches that played here at East Tennessee State. So there's a lot of positives going on the coaching staff. I think it's going to be an opportunity for young men when they come into this program to not only get coached about playing the game of football, but also, more importantly, the ups and downs that happen in everyday life.
I'm going to ask you a couple questions about leadership. The first question is, what's your definition of leadership?
Oh gosh, leadership is broad, and there are many different styles of leadership. I think it's very important that when you are a leader, that you are a servient leader, that you serve the people that you are leading. And it is more of a mentoring situation than a leadership situation. It's important to be able to collaborate. I think communication is important, but more importantly, you have to collaborate. And what I mean by collaboration is that you agree to work towards a common goal. Communication can be one way. When you collaborate, it is both ways. And I think as a leader, you have to be a good listener. You have to listen to the people that you are working with because they are very, very knowledgeable as well. I had a saying as the head coach of the Atlanta Falcons, I don't believe in kings, queens, and dictators. I think it's very important that you take information in from everyone, and everyone wants to feel like that they are contributing to the cause. And whether it's the assistant coach or whether it's a player, you need to listen. Leaders need to be good listeners because you have to know what's going on in the field.
Does that describe your leadership, the way that you try to do it? And if it does, did it always work that way, or did you evolve as a leader?
You're always evolving. More so than any, you're always trying to establish a culture when you're a leader. And I always used to talk about a winning culture and what the expectations are. And you want to be very clear with those expectations for everybody in the organization. But it's always evolving. The culture changes. Generations with technology today, the generations happen so much quicker than they have in years past. And that in turn changes the culture as well. The culture is always evolving, so you're always learning. As a leader, you have to be a lifetime learner. You can't say, hey, this is the way I've done it, and this is the way we're going to do it, and because I know it works. It's always evolving. The great thing about a team is the dynamics of a team change every day. The dynamics of an organization, the dynamics of a university, they're always changing. So you have to be prepared to have flexibility. Ability is important in any field that you're involved in, but it's more importantly is you have to have people that have sustainability, reliability, and flexibility. When you have that, then you have the ability to adjust to the changing environment that takes place, not only in athletics, but in business and in the world.
When you became the head coach of the Falcons, and as you climbed the ladder, I'm sure lots of people gave you many advice, but what's a piece of advice or a couple of sayings maybe somebody gave you that you, as you got into a little more, you found to be true?
Gosh, I've had the opportunity to work with some very good people, fantastic football coaches, fantastic personnel people. But one of the things that I remember is something that happened way back. I remember my coaches probably more than any people that I came in contact, and I challenge people that I speak with to think about, do you know who your third grade teacher was? Sometimes they probably would say no, but they do remember who their first basketball coach was or their little league coach. And coaches have such an effect on young people, and those are the people that affected me the most. My high school coach, until he passed in 2010, I got a text message from a 70-year-old plus man after every football game, and he was still critiquing my games. And that's the type of relationships that I believe you build in athletics. There's a number of people that have affected me. Some I've met, some I haven't met. John Wooden, I think, is probably the greatest communicator in all of sports. I never had an opportunity to meet him in person. I exchanged letters with him. He responded to letters that I had written to him. And those, you don't have to meet people to be affected by people. But I think that you have to be contagious, and you have to be contagious in a very good way, and being a positive person brings positive energy to everybody that you talk to, everybody that you meet, and you want to be a contagious person.
If I were to come to you and let's just say I'm just a high school coach, or I just got my first high school job, or Division II job, or whatever it is, and I'll look to you and say, what should I be careful about as a leader? Or what's a common mistake maybe young leaders do that I can try to look out for? Is there a piece of advice you could give me or another coach to kind of make sure you watch out for?
Well, I think there's a couple of things. You've got to be consistent. Consistency is very important. When you're a leader, everyone's looking at you. And if you're not consistent, then it's really tough for the people that you're working with to be consistent as well. So consistency is very important as a leader, as a young coach, whether you're coaching a unit or whether you're the head coach, whether you're the president of an organization. Consistency is important. And probably the most important thing is that you have to truly care more. When you care more about the people that you work with, you are enhancing your chances to be successful. Caring is a lost trait in this society. It's very important that you care about the people on many levels that you work with.
When you evaluate those that you would hire, like an assistant coach, or when you evaluated players you want to draft, or when you were in college you want to recruit, what are the things you're looking for as a leader for the people you want to join your organization?
Well, when you're in the evaluation process of adding people to your organization, there's certain traits that you look at. Oftentimes, people overlook some of the most important traits. As a football coach, you want someone that's very knowledgeable, but you also want them to be able to interact with different people, because they're going to come in contact not only with young players, but they're also going to be in contact with other people within the organization, the training room, the weight coach, at the collegiate level, professors. They're going to have to be able to interact with people from a wide variety of backgrounds. It is important that they have athletic ability, but you also want to look at their character. Character is very important. You have to have a group of players that have very strong character, that understand the culture that you have established as the leader, and you want them to be consistent.
Coach, how did you, when you started Falcons, how did you start to build your culture?
You have to build your culture from top down and from bottom up. I think it's very important. And the way that I approached it in Atlanta was the football coach in me. When I was hired, the first thing I wanted to do was talk to the players and work on the X's and O's. I had a conversation with a mentor as I was going through the process, and he said, Mike, the thing that you need to do is you need to concern yourself with the culture of that building. You're being hired because of the situation that they weren't successful, and you need to build the culture. And the first week or so that I was in Atlanta, I spent my time walking around the building, introducing people, and truly finding out what their jobs were. It's not looking at an org chart to figure out what someone's job is. It's to sit down and spend 15 or 20 minutes with them and see how they are going to contribute to the success that we're going to have. And sometimes it's more important for the support staff to understand the culture than it is for the players themselves. So I started my first week or so trying to learn what everybody does in the building and let them know that they were going to be an integral part of the success that we were going to have in Atlanta. I think sometimes that is often overlooked. We always concern ourselves with a certain segment of the organization, and they're all interacted. And if we don't have positive energy throughout the building and throughout the organization, we're not going to give ourselves the best chance to be successful. Some of the information that you can get from other people in the organization that touch your players is probably more accurate than what you get from the people that you would normally think were giving you the right information. So that's how I tried to establish the culture, and I wanted everyone in the building, not just in the locker room, to know that they were going to be an integral part of the success that we were going to have. Very much like what's going on here at East Tennessee State. Everybody has to understand what the expectations are, and when they understand what the expectations are, from top to bottom and from bottom to top, they're going to be successful.
What does it mean to be a Buccaneer?
Oh gosh, there's Buck pride, and believe it or not, I see it all the time. I now live in the Atlanta area, and there are a lot of Buccaneer alumni in Atlanta, and they talk to me more about the Bucks than they do about the Falcons. So there is some Buck pride in our alumni. And for me, I'm very proud of going to East Tennessee State University. I got a great education. The faculty, the coaching staff, the support staff, the people that I came in contact affected my life. Jerry Robertson is still a mentor to me. There's not, there's not a 6-month period that goes by that I don't have an opportunity to talk to the old coach. And that's what it means, those relationships that you build. Probably half the guys that I played football with, I still have contact with. Some on a social level, some just checking in to see how they're doing. I think it's very good that the group of players that played in the 70s have gotten together over the last couple years, and more decades, I think, need to do that. We need to come back together. Life's too short. We've got to enjoy and rehash and talk about our time here at ETSU. And I think the majority of the people that have come through this campus and this community are better for it.